quite radical. And it was a very uncomfortable dream. As you can imagine, it was strong emotions. It was a very ominous, threatening dream. It created a lot of agitation in the dreamer.
Yes,
so so she was in this space, and there was her father with a big gun, and he wanted to kill her mother.
Wow.
All right, so this could be something to do with the dynamic between their parents themselves, but actually, it's a dynamic that the dreamer is internalizing. That's what she's feeling inside. That's what it's showing her. So then what she did was she re-entered the dream, like I just explained, and so she dreamt from the point of view of the father to understand what he was feeling, what was going on for him. And why did he want to kill her mother? What was going on?
Okay.
And so she started to have this new understanding that the father was really lonely, for example, and he was feeling disempowered. And then she went to the other position and she dreamt as the mother. And she felt how the mother was preoccupied with taking care of the family and did not pay attention to the father. And then knowing what was needed or asking, so from within these different positions, she would ask, okay, so what would the father need? Or what would the mother offer? Or how could it be different? And then she could create a new interaction where the father expresses some of those needs or feelings, and the mother is able to reach out in a different way, connect in a different way. And so she resolved that tension, that difficulty. She resolved that aggression and that antagonism inside. And this is her own inner masculine and feminine, her own inner mother and father, right?
Yeah.
And so as she's able to reconcile, she was able to reconcile these very important principal forces in her. And she felt the relief. She was able to have a father and mother connecting again in her dream, which means in herself, in her psyche. And that is a very direct and profound transformation that occurred for her, which radically shifted her feeling inside, her perception of herself, and how she was able to relate, as well as her ability to empathize. So next time her husband was maybe angry with her, then already she had an idea of, no, hang on a minute, maybe, there's a way of connecting here instead of fighting. And now, because she's feeling more balanced inside, she's more inclined to be able to stay in that situation, not get triggered, and not get angry as well, for example, or not feel so hurt, but actually be able to connect better and perhaps reach a deeper place of truth in the relationship and a deeper love and deeper understanding. So that's how that works.
So if we took that from someone else saw their parents in that situation, they would have a completely different representation of it as to what was going on for them. So that's why
exactly.
It is really not actually like as I do with my work. It's really not what's going on in your picture. It's how you feel about it and how you see the picture. The picture is really not important. It's the lens that you see that through. So that was what was going on for that person. It's not about going and trying to get your mum and dad getting along.
It's very much about reconciling inner conflicts. It's about recognizing hidden needs, for example, hidden desires, core desires, fears. And being able to integrate those and bring them back to balance and bring yourself back to wholeness, which is crucial if you're going to have great relationships.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's all about the self. So many of us are trying to either, and this is very much a subconscious thing, isn't it? Where we want to take something from the other person to fulfill our needs, or we want to get them to do something in order for us to feel better about ourselves, and we just see this all the time that is going on, and people are so unaware of actually what they're trying to do until you take a step back and And this is a wonderful way. I can really see how you can work with people. So is this how you start working with people? They actually start to have, do they have like a dream book?
Yes, the first thing is to encourage the availability, let's say, to see dreams, to remember dreams. But we often start to work with older dreams, and this can be very powerful as well. I think all of us have seen dreams at a young age in childhood that we still remember. You know, I know I have, and people in my workshops always have something like that, even if they don't remember dreams now. They remember some older dreams that really stayed with them. And sometimes there are recurring dreams as well. So we can start developing this work in ourselves, with our psyche, by working on dreams that we remember from the past. And what happens is there's a reason why this dream has stuck with us. There's a reason why, I still remember this dream from when I was 5, for example, because it is relevant to a very deep part of me that probably is still active. And that's why it stayed with me. That's why it's so evocative. And there was probably some very strong emotion in that dream. Maybe a very strong fear. And as we start to work with those older dreams, there is already an unwinding that happens inside and a transformation, which really helps to facilitate, the fresh dreaming, let's say.
The new dream.
Your dreams now, the new dream. There are some practical recommendations. For example, the people should make sure they get ample sleeping time. If a person only sleeps, a few hours and they're really tired, that will affect their capacity to see dreams, to remember that. So we look at sleep hygiene. We look at starting a journal. We look at ways of going to sleep so you can enter the dream time that way. We look at the hypnagogic and the hypnopompic state. So just as you're drifting off to sleep and just as you wake up, those are great times to start paying attention and start remembering some images that come up, some feelings that come up. And then, of course, we have the awake dreams, because as many spiritual teachers and as many dreaming paths explain, dreaming is something that happens all the time. It's linked to our imaging ability. It's sometimes considered a right brain activity, which is happening all the time. This is a part of our mind that doesn't make sense of the world with words. Is not verbal, but is visual. It's full of color, full of imagery. And this is running all the time. So we can just close our eyes and pay attention. And I invite our listeners to do this now. If they just close their eyes and pay attention, I bet some image is going to come up, or some feeling, or some sensation, something. It's just simply turning the attention inwardly and listening, quite simply listening. And that stream of information is always available. So we can also work with dreaming in that way, in a very quiet state, but certainly awake, not sleeping. And those are very good ways to begin, I would say.
Yeah, that's it. It's very powerful. Those states of mind, because I think children, we lose that ability, don't we? As you're daydreaming, children are told to stop daydreaming and get focused and get on with it. But, that daydreaming is that person's inner, their inner psyche telling them, giving them information, and we're constantly told to get on with our work or focus or concentrate or whatever. But it's those wonderful times when that child is dreaming of being that most amazing person, and they've stepped into that, and they believe they are. And then as we get older, we wonder why why it's so hard for us to get into that again. But you've only got to watch a child, and they truly believe they're an astronaut. I really am an astronaut now. And I think we lose that as the the older we get, and it's such an important space to get into, because people pay thousands to have a blank mind. So I can assure you everyone will have seen something. I mean, what came to mind, I just did that exercise with you then, and I just saw 6 red balloons. I don't know what that is. 6 red balloons. What is that?
What is that? Well, that's a good question. So the next step would be to start asking questions and keep an open mind and start inviting intuition and inner knowing, and start noticing signs and start noticing the feedback, the inner feedback and the outer feedback. And maybe there's a memory. What do balloons mean for you? What do you associate balloons with?
Yeah, fun.
Fun, there you go.
Yeah.
So there's a sense of fun or elevation. There's a sense of lightness. There's a sense of play and something carefree that has the potential to reach very high, right?
Yeah,
so it could be any of those associations, and yes, we can definitely develop our ability to understand our dreams in a big way, and also to use them. And you know what you were saying, it's so true, and it's kind of funny that we have this natural ability to dream, and our daydreams are so important in really getting us in the direction of where we want to be going in life, to be really happy and fulfilled, to really express ourselves and feel we are who we truly are meant to be. And then we lose it, and we get very materialistic and very caught up in, the daily strains and the commitments and the having to do things in the material world and have to push through and having to fight through and having to, exercise our willpower rather than our imagination. But then we pay a ton of money, as you were saying, to have a clear mind and also to reawaken this ability. So there are many, many examples of successful athletes, for example, also artists, scientists, who use dreams for creative problem solving, to enhance performance, and also to receive information, to make new discoveries, to push the frontiers, of what is humanly possible. So it's very important to just come back to what we already have.
Yeah, which is all inside of us, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, exactly. Even before you learn fancy techniques, just invite this innate ability to awaken in you. That's what I would say to our listeners, and just enjoy. There's so much in there.
So if some listeners are out there thinking, okay, right, this is interesting, I've really not come across this before, and they really want to create something in their lives, they really want to manifest something, because I know manifestation comes up a lot, for people who we want to create from the inside out. Okay, I want this in my life. Is there a way we can use the dream, can we actually manifest things through dreams?
Yes, totally. Oh, wow. So we've touched on one side of this, and this is the way that we manifest by changing our inner state, our inner reality. Mm-hmm. It's a vibrational thing. If our listeners are familiar with things like the law of attraction, or if they're familiar with bioresonance technologies or sound healing, vibrational healing, even working with essential oils, what those modalities are showing us is that we're essentially vibrational beings, mm-hmm. and we call forth a reality to match our vibration, the signal we're sending out. So if my inner state is one of peace and love and joy and happiness and just gratitude, there's a very high likelihood that I will be attracting experiences and relationships to match my inner state. So I'll find confirmation in the outside world, and that is one way of manifesting, we might say.
So you're like a huge magnet. Is that right?
Yes, exactly. Your attraction factor is just massively elevated, and you're starting to attract very different kinds of people, very different kinds of interactions and dynamics. And this happens quite naturally. You don't have to try for it. All you do is you just do your inner work. Now, another way that you can manifest through dreams is through active or intentional dreaming. This can look many different ways. For example, in the Toltec tradition, there is a technique where we seed a dream